In this video, let's talk about something that most of us have to deal with. And if you're like us and generally you are generating PDFs of your end products from Civil 3D, file size can become an issue. And I'm sure all of us have probably have to dealt with it at one time or another. I want to show you some simple settings that you can do in Civil 3D to help reduce your file size. And let's talk about things that you need to be aware of going in when you're generating your plan set. So here on the screen I've got a list of PDFs that I've made of two different files, the 400 file and then what I called a big file. And the original here that I have highlighted came in at 5 megs. This is an 8.5 by 11 PDF with some rasters, and it's 5 megs. And that was with default settings that are in AutoCAD. One simple change, and I reduced it down to 4.5 megs, so 500 kilobyte difference there. And I made another change and dropped it another 200. So you can see that if we went from the smallest file to the original file, that's 3/4 of a meg in just one sheet. And this is an 8.5 by 11. So if you had 40 sheets, you'd be reducing your file size by 20 megs or less. So let's take a look at what I did. So over here in Civil 3D, all of these have been done using the general documentation. But out of the box, if I come down here on general documentation and click the PDF options, this vector quality is set at like 1200. So for vectors being lines, that is really, really high. Now, depending on what you're doing, and if that really matters, you might have to do it. But you can go as low as 200, 400. And you really won't see a difference in most vectors. Rasters is a different story. We'll talk about that in a moment. And all of these boxes are checked under general documentation, which is the layers, hyperlinks, bookmarks, and fonts. So just by reducing that vector quality to 400, I reduced that file by 500 megs. Now, when you make a change to one of your PC3s that are on your machine, you have the choice to do it for just this plot, or if you don't want to have to go in there, or make sure you don't forget to go in there and do that on every single sheet, you can go ahead and override it and save it to your settings. And that way next time you go to plot, it'll automatically be at 400. So that's a way to save that time. Now I've got line weights, transparencies, and all that on in this as well. And let me cancel that and come back to here. And that change went from the 500 to the 4.5. Let me open this file so we can talk about some other things. So here in review, remember all those boxes that were checked? The name of that layout, I didn't really give it a good name, but if you go to your bookmarks, it creates a bookmark for every sheet, every drawing, and every layout. So if you're doing sheet set manager or something along those lines, you're going to have all of them in your plan set. Layers, all the layers that are plotted are in here, and all of these are metadata, and it looks nice and it gives you a lot of availability to do things in the PDF, but man, it can make them fat in a hurry. So I wanted you to see what those two are. And it added 500 megs to this one drawing. Now this drawing has rasters and a pretty detailed isopox surface here, so a lot going on, but it made a big difference. And if that is something that you want, need, or have to have, you got to leave them on. If not, turn it off and save you some space. And as you saw in the software, you have the ability to turn them off individually. So maybe I don't want to include layers. I like my bookmarks and no reason to embed fonts. I can't show you the embedded fonts, but most often than not, you don't need to embed these fonts into the PDF. But I do want my hyperlinks because I'm using smart bubbles and index the sheets and stuff like that. So let's keep those, right? You can turn them off, and when you hit OK, you can save it as your default, just like we did before. and you'll be good to go. If you're wanting to turn it all off, and you want everyone to be have it all off at all the time, Autodesk has made you a plot driver right here that's called General. Where is it? Smallest file, AutoCAD PDF smallest file, and you'll see that when I open it, it's automatically got 400, the 200, and all those are off. So if you're wanting that to be your default, and if go the opposite direction, instead of having everything on as your default and parsing it out, maybe you make your default have everything off, and if you need to include those, you turn them on. That is something you can do, and you could set your templates to use this PC3, and you'd be ready to go on getting the absolute smallest file, which was the SF here of 4.27 megs. These two are the exact same. That's basically me duplicating the settings between general documentation and the smallest file. So there's no size difference between them. It's just those options. So turn those options off is what makes the biggest difference in the general documentation plot driver. Now, this that you saw in PDF had rasters in it, and it's almost 5 megs. And it's an 8.5 by 11. This is a 34 by 22 sheet with no rasters, and notice that it is 4 times or more smaller than the rasters. So that shows you how big of a difference rasters make in your file size. So keep that in mind as well when you're working on these. If you don't have to have a raster, don't use them. The takeaway from this video, I know it all seems super simple, but the biggest one is this vector DPI. It's set to 1200 in a lot of people, and it makes it significantly larger. And I wanted you to begin with the end in mind when it comes to your PDFs, and know what of these you want and which one are superfluous, and turn them off. Save you a little bit of size. If you found any of this helpful, please click like and feel free to subscribe.